All right. Welcome, everybody. It's day one. We're going to kick it off with just showing up. All right. So, all we had to do today is show up. Today's going to be a tour of the senses. So, we're just going to go through the three categories of see, hear, and feel, and just walk through each one individually and kind of get a flavor for it, a taste of it. So, with that, let's get started. All right. Well, let's get started. Today we're going to do a tour of the senses, going through the three sense categories of see, hear, and feel. I'll just walk you through the categories. You listen to the sound of my voice and follow along as best you can. And with that said, I invite you to stretch up and settle in to whatever posture you prefer. It's always best if we can sit upright with an erect spine. But if not possible, you can sit in your favorite recliner or lie in your bed or whatever suits you best as we go through the practice today. Let's go ahead and kick it off with a few deep breaths together. Start with a nice long inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And this time, nice big deep belly breath. Inhale and exhale. As we exhale, let's just start with the see category. Let's notice what we see in front of us. It can be as simple as just seeing me on the screen, or the plant in the corner of the screen, or the word center across the corner. Or maybe you're looking around the room, beyond what's behind the walls, the pictures, plants, a window, and we'll just pick something and kind of focus and concentrate on it for a few seconds. Maybe get interested in the details of it, whatever it is. Just take 3 seconds, 5 seconds, and look at it. And then we'll just kind of release that and look around something else, whatever it is, whatever is available to you. You can even kind of zoom out and kind of take in the big picture of the whole room if you like. And this is the C category. Whatever you're looking at. In this practice, we use labels. A label is just a softly spoken, whether internally or verbally, label to identify what category, what sense category you're in. So if I was looking at something in particular, like a picture on the wall in the C category, I would just say C. And that's how I would label it. And as my attention drifts somewhere else or voluntarily moves somewhere else and lands somewhere else, you do the same. Whenever it lands, no matter what it lands on, you can note and notice what it lands on. But we're really just going to label the category that it's in. And in this case, we're just noting what we see. And the label would be see. Whatever you're looking at, see. And now, if you're comfortable with it, we're exploring the C category. There's another side to C category, and that's if we close our eyes. So if you're comfortable with that, you can close your eyes now. And notice that we can still be in the C space, looking with our eyes, but with our eyes closed, we're looking at maybe the back of our eyelids, or maybe it's just dark and there's not much going on, or some amorphous, blobby reds and whites and oranges, but we're still looking, right? So we're still in that C category. And this is also where our imagination arises, where we can see pictures and images. And that might be available to you. But we're still in that sense category of C. So you would label this C as well. And whether it's active or not a lot going on, maybe there's no activity to see and it's just darkness. Well, we're still paying attention to the C category. So it would just be maybe a restful version of C, not a lot of activity. All right. So we've explored see out and see in. Let's explore hear out. And it may seem self-explanatory. Hear out is just listening. And matter of fact, the category is just here, but there's an external and internal component, just like there was to see. In this case, let's explore the external component and just listen to what we hear around us. I can hear a microwave beeping in the background, the dogs randomly barking when somebody walks by. Maybe take a moment and whatever you hear, like I can hear a lawnmower off in the distance, we'll just kind of settle our attention on it for a few moments. Maybe try and explore the details and listen closely, intently. You'd use the label here. And mostly I use the internal label in my head. I just say here without verbalizing it. And that just helps remind me that I'm in the here category of the sense categories and I'm listening. And maybe at this point, you're starting to have some thoughts in your head like, oh, am I doing this right? Or, oh, this is interesting, or anything of that nature. Well, you're hearing those thoughts, you're hearing that dialogue. So just like the external and internal components of see, there's external and internal components of hear. In that case, that internal dialogue that you're hearing is your hear category as well. It's just the hear in version of it. Like where you would hear music, and an earworm, or that voice in your mind encouraging you or discouraging you. It's just another thing that we hear. It's another sense category. And we could just label it here. Whether it's a stream of thought or abstract dialogue, it's just something that we hear and we can label it, acknowledge it. And so right now, we're still in the here space if you're listening. We've explored the see space and the hear space. And the last category of the three sense categories is the feel category. On this one, let's start with the inside. The internal component of the feel category is our emotional experience. So where we feel emotions, like when we get angry or sad or happy or feel love and joy, we tend to actually experience these emotions internally. And there can be a felt sense of them arising within our body when we have them, especially when we learn to attune to it, pay attention. And that's what we'll try to do right now. It's just explore that emotional body, wherever it is, and notice if there's anything going on. That's the internal component of feel. Maybe we're feeling nervous, or maybe we're feeling anxious or a little relaxed through this exercise. How does that arise? Or maybe you can't really sense anything, and that's perfectly normal. It's a restful emotional state, or sometimes those restful emotional states can even be peaceful. But as we tune in more, we'll be able to notice these things on a stronger level. But don't worry, we're doing great. Now, the last part of feel is the external component, and that just includes everything else. So, like the seat underneath your chair that you feel, or your hands resting on your lap, or you can feel the weight of your body in the chair, or the sun on your face, or the wind across your arms. All these components of feel are the external components of feel. And we can stay within that feel category, right? And label it feel. And even dial in on any particular sensation if you like to explore feel a little bit more. Maybe you feel your hands. And it's interesting that we can kind of draw our attention, our awareness into the hands very purposefully. Just kind of explore that, the experience of feeling the hands. And you can use that label, feel. It's always good to label in a calm, kind of soft internal voice when you're doing it. It helps induce equanimity and maintain that calmness through the process. And that is feel out. And feel out actually includes taste and smell for simplicity. So if your eyes are closed, you can open them now. We've just did a brief tour of the senses. As we move forward, there'll be different sense experiences that we'll be exploring. So I just kind of wanted to map it for you. There's only 3 categories that everything falls into. It's either see, hear, or feel. Now, there's an internal component and an external component to each of those. And they can also be active or inactive, restful, and sometimes peaceful. And it's interesting, sometimes activity itself can be restful, depending on the experience. So we won't get too into that, but just know, moving forward, we're going to be exploring the sense categories to some effect throughout the meditations. And that is going to wrap it up for our first day. So it was kind of a quasi meditation exploration. And I appreciate you joining. Let's do this 30 days. You already got 1 day in the books, 29 more to go, and it's just going to take off from here. All right. I truly appreciate you joining me, and we'll see you on the other side.